After a long weekend trip, I lay in bed, half sunk into the sheets, thumb lazily flicking through my phone gallery, the usual blur of roadside signs, empty coffee cups, and hotel mirrors I barely remembered standing in front of. Then I stop. One photo, buried between the rest. Familiar, but wrong. It's me. But something's off. The angle's strange, my posture's unnatural, like I'd been caught mid-flinch. I'm not even sure when I took it. The lighting's dim. My face is turned to half toward the camera, half away, like I'd flinched mid-shot. There's a blur over my right eye, not the kind from motion, more like someone had brushed a thumb across the lens. But that's not what made me stop. It's my mouth. The smile is wrong, not crooked or glitchy, just too wide, too many teeth. And not the way I usually smile either. This one reaches back, past the corner of my lips, almost toward my ear. I blink and zoom in. The grain gets worse the closer I look, like the pixels are trying to hide something. But even through the fuzz, that smile holds its shape. My eyes are wide open, glassy, fixed, not like I'm laughing, more like I'm watching something. I don't remember taking it. My last memory of that day is of the gas station. I was on my way home, late afternoon, sky still pink with the leftover haze of sunset. I grabbed a drink, checked my messages, drove back. Nothing strange that I can recall. Definitely no photos. So where did this one come from? I swipe up for details. The timestamp says it was taken just past 3 a.m. 11 minutes into the quietest hour of the night. I keep staring at it. The longer I look, the more my own face starts to feel unfamiliar. The room is quiet, not silent. The soft wheeze of the ceiling fan, the faint hum of the streetlight outside my window. They're all there, but it feels too still, like something's holding its breath. I flip the phone over, face down, like that'll help. A minute later, I flip it back, still there. Same frame, same smile. I tried to dismiss it. Maybe it was a pocket shot. Maybe the phone took it while I was holding it wrong. Maybe I was half asleep. Maybe I'm overthinking it. But the thing is, I'm alone in the picture. And it's not a front camera shot. The angle, it's from across the room. I don't even own a tripod. I lock the phone, set it aside, roll onto my back and stare at the ceiling. My chest feels tight, not panic, not yet. Just something dense sitting under the ribs, like a warning with no words. Eventually I fall asleep, but I wake up slower than usual, foggy, thirsty, and cold. Colder than it should be. The blanket's still wrapped around me, but my shoulders are tense, like they've been bracing for something. I reach for my phone. No new messages, no missed calls, but the photo's gone. I check the gallery again. Albums, trash, hidden, nothing. It's not there. Not in the recent files either. I scroll slowly in case I missed it. Nothing. Not even the blurred thumbnail. My chest gets tight again. Not panic, just that same weight. Like something pressing gently on my sternum, reminding me that I'm not in control here. I open the camera app and switch to the front lens. I don't know why I do it. Maybe just to check. Maybe to prove something to myself. My reflection stares back. Normal, no smile, no blur, just me. But I don't take a photo. Not yet. Instead, I flip to the rear camera, just for a second. And in that second before the screen clears and the autofocus settles, I see something behind me. A shape, barely visible, like someone had just stepped behind the curtain. But when I turn, there's nothing there. Curtain's still, Window locked. Nothing but the early morning mist outside. I sit there for a while, long enough for my coffee to go cold on the nightstand, long enough for the street sounds to start bleeding in. A dog bark, a truck reversing, someone's laugh down the block. I should move, get dressed, get out. But I don't. I stay seated, thumb hovering over the gallery icon, not ready to check again. Not yet. Eventually, I take a deep breath, open the gallery, and scroll. Still nothing. The photo's gone. But in its place, a new video, just 5 seconds long. No title, no thumbnail, just a black screen. I play it. There's no sound, no image, just the quiet hiss of digital silence. And then, in the last second, my own voice, a whisper. I can't make out the words, but I feel them, like I already know what I said, even though I don't remember saying anything. I rewind, replay, listen again. Still just that breath, that hush, that presence. My body goes cold, a kind of chill that doesn't come from outside. It settles inside the spine, deep and slow. I look around the room. Nothing moves, nothing answers, but the air feels heavier than before, like something's waiting. And when I check the video again, the length has changed. It's no longer 5 seconds. Now it says 6 seconds, and it's still black. I didn't press record. I never pressed anything. And yet, each time I check, the video gets just a little bit longer. I didn't sleep much after that. I left the phone face down on the table beside my bed, like that would stop it from doing whatever it was doing. But every so often, I'd glance at it, just to make sure the screen stayed black. It did, until it didn't. Sometime after the streetlight outside flickered off, and the first bird started up, I gave in and checked again. The video was now 7 seconds long. I didn't play it, not this time. Instead, I grabbed my jacket and keys and left, without brushing my teeth. I needed to be around someone else, someone real, tangible. I figured I'd stop by Kara's place. She's always up early for her shift. The walk was quiet, too quiet. The kind that only happens when your ears are listening too hard. When she opened the door, she blinked at me, hair still damp from the shower, towel around her neck. "You look like hell," she said, stepping aside to let me in. I sat on the edge of her couch, not really sure how to start. I didn't want to sound crazy, so I showed her the photo first, or tried to. But it wasn't there anymore. No video, no picture. Just the same grid of roadside signs, empty cups, mirror selfies. My throat went dry. "It was right here," I muttered. She leaned in, squinting. "Is this one of those filter things?" "No," I said, too fast. I swear, it was there yesterday." She didn't say anything, just gave me that look. The one people give when they're trying not to look worried or amused. "I sent it," I said suddenly, remembering. "Last night. Check your phone. I sent it to you." Kara tapped through her messages. "You didn't," she said. "Nothing from you since the meme about the haunted rice cooker? Check your gallery. Maybe it auto-saved?" She did. Nothing. I felt my hands starting to shake, so I stuffed them in my pockets. "It was me in the photo," I said quietly. But not me. The smile was wrong, and the angle, it wasn't from my phone. Kara sat down across from me. "Okay, let's say it happened. Maybe someone messed with your phone?" I nodded slowly. "Yeah, maybe." But even as I said it, something didn't sit right. I pulled out my phone again, checked the backup folder, the trash, anything, still nothing. Kara poured me some coffee, the kind she always made too strong, and asked, "Where were we when you think it was taken?" I paused. That last day, at the overlook near the highway, I think around then. She furrowed her brow. We didn't take any group photos there. I remember one, I said. I was standing near the guardrail. You and Dev were off to the side. There were trees behind us. I swear we took a shot. She stared at me for a second, then said, "Yeah, we did take one. But I'm pretty sure you weren't in it." "What?" "I mean, you offered to take it, remember? You were the one holding the phone." I froze. "No," I said. "I was in that photo. I remember posing for it." She pulled up her own gallery and scrolled. "Here," she said, turning the screen. The photo was there, exactly as I remembered. The same tree line, the same overcast sky. Kara on the left, Dev with his awkward grin on the right. But no me. I stared at the empty spot between them. A small gap, like someone had left the frame, or like someone had never stood there at all. "That's not right," I whispered. Kara looked uncomfortable now. "Maybe you're thinking of a different photo?" I shook my head, and then I asked something I hadn't planned to ask. "Do you remember what I was wearing that day?" She blinked. Black hoodie? The one with the white drawstrings?" "No," I said. "That was the day I wore the yellow jacket." "You hate that jacket." "I know. But in the photo that no longer existed, the one with the stretched smile and blurred eye, I was wearing a yellow jacket. I left not long after. I told her I needed rest." She nodded, but her eyes said she didn't believe me. I took the long way home, walked past the coffee shop, the post office, the alley with the crooked lamppost. I stopped at a red light even though there were no cars coming. Everything felt just a little off, like the world was real, but thin. When I got back to my place, I did something stupid. I opened the voice recorder app, and I said out loud, "Is anyone there?" Then I hit record. I let it run for 10 seconds, then I played it back. The first 8 seconds were silent, but in the last 2, something spoke. Not a voice, not clearly, just a breath. And what sounded like my name, muffled, like it was being said from the inside of a wall. I deleted the file, turned off the phone, sat very still. I didn't want to move. Not because I was scared of what I'd hear, but scared I might hear nothing at all. That silence would be the answer. And that somehow, that would be worse. The room was getting darker, but I hadn't touched the lights. The shadows didn't stretch. They curled. And in the reflection of my darkened phone screen, I could swear, just for a moment, that I wasn't alone in the frame. I blinked. The reflection was gone. But the face I saw in the glass wasn't mine. I blinked. The reflection was gone. But the face I saw in the glass wasn't mine. I sat there for a while, staring at the screen, hoping the moment would fade like a dream already dissolving in daylight. But it didn't. The stillness stayed. And that face, not mine, but wearing my shape, kept surfacing in the back of my mind, like a face you almost remember from childhood, but can't place. I needed to prove something to myself. Anything. So I reached for a photo editing app I barely used, one of those ones with auto filters and face smoothing. Not because I cared how I looked. I just wanted to see if the software still saw me. I opened the gallery and scrolled to an old image of myself. It loaded instantly, face detected, jawline mapped, filter applied. Then I tried a different photo, one I'd taken last week at the cafe, laughing into a coffee cup. Again, face detected. Then, slowly, I swiped to the screenshot I'd saved. Not the original image from that night, but a low-quality grab from a video. Still, I'd forgotten I had backed up to cloud. I waited. The app paused, then the message popped up. No face detected. I stared at it, closed the app, reopened it, tried again. Same photo, same error. No face detected. Not my face. Not any face. I thought maybe the lighting was off. Maybe the grain confused the algorithm. So I manually highlighted the area, zoomed in, and tapped where my eyes were. Or should have been. Still nothing. Just a blur. A vague shape. Like the app didn't believe it was human at all. I could feel my breathing shift. Calm down, I thought. You're tired. You're spooked. You're seeing patterns where there are none. So I did the worst possible thing. I used a different app, one that lets you edit faces, change expressions, age features, swap identities. It runs deep scans before it lets you edit anything. I uploaded the same photo again, this time after a long pause. It worked, but it didn't detect one face. It detected two. One was labeled Face 1, Unknown, the other, Face 2. Partial match, you. I stared at the label, partial match, like it wasn't sure if it was me anymore. The unknown face had no name, no tag, no suggestion to add it to contacts. Just a vague silhouette, overlapping mine. I tried isolating it, tapping it, pulling it away from the frame. But every time I moved one, the other moved with it, like they were fused, intertwined, sharing the same coordinates. I zoomed in. There was something about the eyes. The unknown face didn't have any, just soft dents where eyes should be, like clay not fully shaped. But it had a mouth, that same stretched smile, teeth too many, lips too thin. I backed out of the app, closed everything, cleared history, deleted the photo, then cleared my trash. But the weirdest part? When I went back to the app gallery, it still showed the face preview at the top, the thumbnail it generates for your last used photo. But it wasn't the image I had just deleted. It was newer, different angle, my room in the background, and me, sleeping. Face turned sideways into the pillow, half in shadow. I hadn't taken that. I hadn't been awake. I felt it then. That sharp, invisible pressure between the shoulder blades, the one that makes you turn around even though you know no one's there. I turned. Nothing. But the window was open, just a crack. The screen bowed inward slightly, like it had been touched. I live on the 3rd floor. Nobody ever opens that window. I closed it slowly, double-locked it, and sat back down. My hands were shaking. I pulled up my phone's app permissions and turned off everything. Camera, microphone, background activity. Still, the photo stayed in the preview. No way to delete it. No option to clear. It just stayed. I turned the phone off completely and stuffed it into the kitchen drawer. I wrapped it in an old towel, then slid the drawer shut, like that would muffle whatever it was becoming. I didn't touch it again that day, but around nightfall, I started hearing faint sounds. The soft click of something plastic shifting, like a screen lighting up, like a phone buzzing against wood. I didn't check. Not right away. I waited until the sound stopped. Waited, longer still. Then carefully, I pulled the drawer open. The phone was on, lit up, unlocked. The gallery app opened again, even though I had powered it down. A new image loaded. Not me, not entirely. A reflection, caught in the black mirror of the TV screen across the room. Someone sitting where I should have been, not smiling, just watching. No timestamp, no data, just an image that wasn't supposed to exist. I backed out, and again, the app detected 2 faces. Only this time, the labels had changed. Face 1, you face 2, you 2 of me, both marked as valid. One of them had no eyes, but I knew which one the app thought was real. The app asked if I wanted to tag myself, but I didn't know which one to choose. The app asked if I wanted to tag myself, but I didn't know which one to choose. I closed the app, shut the phone off, and this time, I meant it. I powered it down and tossed it across the room onto the chair, where it landed screen first with a soft thud. I didn't care. I didn't want to see it light up again, but I should have known better. When I woke up, sometime after the sun had already crept its way into the blinds, I found the phone back on the nightstand, face up, powered on, battery at 68%. I hadn't moved it. I sat up slowly, waiting for the world to feel normal again. It didn't. There was that quiet wait again, the one that settles into the air when something's changed, but no one says it out loud yet. The lock screen was glowing. No new notifications, just the gallery app still open. And the number next to camera roll had changed. It used to be around 300, a mix of screenshots, random food pics, road signs. Now it said 821. I hadn't taken that many photos in months. I opened it. The top row loaded first, then more, then more. I kept scrolling and the thumbnails kept multiplying, all taken overnight. Selfies, hundreds of them, slightly different angles, slightly different lighting, always the same background, my room, my bed, my sleeping face. Some showed just my head on the pillow, others closer, frighteningly close, from above, from the foot of the bed, from eye level, all captured between 3:12 and 3:33 in the morning. That's 21 minutes. I counted the shots. Over 200, one every 6 seconds. And yet, my battery hadn't dropped, not even by a single bar. I flipped through them slowly, breath held. At first they were just still. My eyes shut, nothing dramatic, just odd. Then, around the 50th one, my mouth began to twitch, subtle at first, a corner tugged, then a slight curve, then teeth, not mine, not really, wider than I'd ever smiled, deeper, like the muscles in my face were being pulled by someone who didn't quite understand how a smile was supposed to work. By the 100th photo, my eyes were open, but not focused. They stared into the lens like I'd known it was there the whole time, and behind me, faint in the background, I started to see something move. The curtain, then the mirror, then the hallway door, barely cracked. At one point, a hand, just fingertips, curling back out of the frame before I could really see them. I zoomed in. Not my hand, longer fingers, too pale, nails chipped, one ring, old, tarnished. It appeared in 5 photos, then never again. I scrolled faster, heart in my throat, every muscle tight. The last photo, the most recent, was time-stamped 3:33 in the morning. In it, I'm sitting up, eyes wide open, mouth fully stretched, and someone else's shadow is beside me, just out of focus. The figure wasn't facing me. It was facing the phone, like they'd taken the photo themselves. I dropped the phone on the floor. I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to touch me. I checked the mirrors, the closet, the hallway. Everything was where it should be. Except one thing. The drawer where I'd hidden the phone yesterday, still open, still empty. The towel was there, but not the phone. I checked the front door. Deadbolt still turned, windows sealed. No sign of anyone coming in. No explanation. And yet, the smell in the room had changed. Like old perfume, faint and powdery, the kind no one wears anymore. I sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the floor, trying to remember every second of the night before. But there was nothing. No dream. No waking. Just a deep, strange silence between laying down and waking up. No tossing. No turning. Just stillness. My fingers were cold. I hadn't noticed that before. And then, without thinking, I picked the phone up again. I don't know why. Maybe I needed to know the worst of it. Maybe I already knew it wasn't over. I opened the photo info, tried to check file sizes, locations, metadata, but each photo, when tapped, showed the same note under face detected. Smile confirmed. No GPS tags, no lens data, no camera settings, just that phrase. Over and over again. I tried to delete them, held one down, selected all. The phone froze, screen went black, then came back. All photos restored, like I'd never tried. And now, worse, the count had gone up. 824, 3 new ones. I tapped the newest. It hadn't been there a minute ago. It showed me sitting exactly as I was now, on the bed, looking down, holding the phone, same clothes, same blanket, same light angle through the blinds. I hadn't heard a sound, no shutter click, no flash, but the picture was there. And this time, I wasn't smiling, but she was, standing just behind me, eyes shut, smile stretched, hand resting lightly on my shoulder. Her hand was still there when I looked up, but no one else was in the room. Her hand was still there when I looked up, but no one else was in the room. Just me. Me. And that quiet, wrong feeling crawling along my spine. I didn't move for a while. I didn't want to know if it would fade or stay. And when I finally did look again, the feeling had gone. But the air still felt dented where it had been, like something heavy had stood there too long and left a mark in the atmosphere. I picked the phone back up, not because I wanted to, but because I had to. There were now 825 photos in the gallery, one more than before. I opened the newest. It looked just like the others at first. Same dim light, same angle, same me on the bed. But then I saw it. A small spot on the neck, just below the ear. Faint, but visible. A mark I haven't seen in years, because it isn't supposed to be there. I had it removed. Surgical removal. Local anesthetic. I remember the clinic, the cold of the chair, the way the doctor said, "It's harmless, but I understand." It had been there since birth. A tiny, dark, teardrop-shaped mark, just under my jawline. But in the photo, it was back, clear as day. I reached for the mirror before I even realized I'd stood up, pulled the collar of my shirt down, touched the skin gently, felt nothing, just smooth, no spot, no scar, nothing. I took a new selfie, same lighting, same position, no birthmark. But when I flipped back to the saved photo, it was still there. And it wasn't alone. In the next few images, it seemed to grow, just slightly, just enough to notice. And the skin beneath it looked a little off, paler than mine, less texture, smoother, almost fake. The smile, too, had shifted again, wider, like something inside the face was pushing outward. I zoomed in further, looking past the skin, past the hairline. The pupils weren't aligned. One was slightly too high, the other barely open, and the whites had turned the wrong shade. Too clear, like copy paper, like eyes printed onto a face that was pretending to be mine. And it wasn't just the mark. There were details I couldn't explain. The slope of the chin slightly off, the curve of the ear not matching my own. Things I wouldn't have noticed if I hadn't studied my own face so many times over the years. I opened an older photo from my actual gallery, something from last summer. Same lighting, clear shot. Side by side, the differences screamed. They weren't glitches, they weren't edits, they were choices. Whoever, whatever, was in these new photos wasn't imitating me. It was remembering me, like it had studied me once, long ago, and was trying to rebuild me from memory. But it had forgotten the little things, the details that make you you, the subtle asymmetries, the tiredness around the eyes, the places where real skin softens or tightens over time. This version of me didn't change. She looked like me from 5 years ago, or maybe 10, but more polished, too smooth, too preserved, like someone had paused my face in a time I never remembered choosing. I backed out of the gallery, sat down hard on the edge of the bed, let my phone fall beside me. Outside, a car passed, normal sound, street noise. But the air inside the room didn't follow. It had gone still again. Not silent, just too still. I looked towards the mirror on the wall. Not directly, just in my peripheral. It didn't reflect anything strange, but I didn't want to look straight at it. I think I already knew what I'd see. Instead, I grabbed a pen and paper from the desk drawer. Started to write down the timestamps, the progression, the image counts. Maybe if I laid it out clearly, it would make sense. But when I opened the drawer, something was already written there, scratched faintly on the inside edge of the wood. Just 5 words. She remembers what you forgot. I hadn't written that. I hadn't even seen it before. The handwriting wasn't mine. Too sharp. No rhythm. I looked around again, listened. The fridge hum in the kitchen, the faint creak of pipes. But underneath all of it, I heard something else. A sound I couldn't place at first. Not a voice. Not words. Just breath. Slow. Shallow. Close. I stood up too fast. The chair scraped loudly behind me. The breath stopped. I grabbed the phone again, turned on the flashlight, and scanned the room. Corners. Behind the curtain. Under the bed. Nothing. But when I returned to the drawer, the words were still there. Only now, next to the sentence, a new one had been added. She misses being you. I didn't stay in that room much longer. I packed a bag in under 5 minutes, left my apartment without locking the door. I couldn't. I didn't want anything sealed in. I went to a motel, one of those cheap ones off the highway. No check-in questions, no ID, cash up front. The room smelled like dust and detergent, but I felt safer there, for a while, until I plugged in my charger, and the phone lit up on its own. Gallery still open, and in the recently added tab, there she was, again, in the motel mirror, wearing my clothes, sitting on the same bed, smiling that wrong, stretched smile. And this time, the photo wasn't tagged as me. It was labeled original. The motel bathroom had no windows, just one dim bulb overhead and a mirror fixed crookedly to the wall above the sink. That's where it started. I'd woken early, or maybe I hadn't slept at all. The hours had blurred. The digital clock on the nightstand had blinked at me all night, but I didn't dare check the exact time. Instead, I moved through the motions of a morning, washed my face, brushed my teeth, tried to feel human again. I stood in front of the mirror, drying my hands on a towel, when I noticed it. Something small, easy to miss. My head turned slightly to the left, and so did hers, but slower, only by a second. Not a glitch, not a freeze, just delay. My stomach dropped. I stayed very still, moved my hand again. My fingers twitched. Hers did too, but with a different rhythm, too fluid, almost elegant. It didn't feel like copying, it felt like performing. I narrowed my eyes. The reflection didn't. It just looked back, calmly, confidently, like she already knew I'd do that, like she was waiting to see how I'd react. I raised my eyebrows. She blinked. Once, then smiled. That smile again, too perfect, not mine. I stepped back from the mirror. The light flickered slightly, humming like it wanted to say something. The air smelled faintly metallic, like rain on hot wires. I took out my phone, not to check messages, not even to look at photos. I opened the camera, switched to front-facing mode, held it up beside the mirror. My reflection was there, but in the phone screen, I looked normal, blank-faced, just tired, just me. In the mirror, still smiling, and now she was tilting her head slightly, like someone listening too closely. I snapped a photo. The camera flash lit up the tiny space, and in the photo, she was smiling again, same angle, same head tilt, but I was frowning. I checked the phone, took another, then another. I tried to match her, smile, head tilt, raised brow, anything. But every photo came out wrong. In the mirror, she was always just ahead of me, one step further into the performance. And her face, it was still mine, but just better. Clearer skin, more rested, cheekbones a little higher, eyes sharper, like she'd fixed all the things I'd stopped bothering to care about. I leaned closer to the mirror. Her skin didn't have pores, not like mine, and under her eyes, no shadows, no fatigue. She looked like someone remembering me, not someone being me. I reached out, half knowing how stupid it was. Fingers touched glass, so did hers. But her hand didn't line up. Her pinky bent outward, too far. And she didn't press against mine. She just held her hand there, a half-inch misaligned, like she wasn't copying anymore, like she was thinking for herself. I backed away, sat down on the toilet lid, phone still in hand, heart pounding in a slow, deep rhythm that felt too loud for the small room. I kept glancing at the mirror. She didn't sit down. She stayed standing, watching, still, until I looked away. Then I heard it, a tiny tap, like a fingernail brushing the other side of the mirror. I looked up again. She was closer, too close, as if she'd leaned forward while I wasn't looking. I stood again, moved slowly, grabbed the towel, the toothbrush, anything, just to do something. She didn't move this time, just stood there, expression gone flat, but her eyes, they looked hungry, not wide, not staring, just focused, on me. I turned away completely, holding the phone tight, and left the bathroom. Sat on the edge of the motel bed, tried to breathe, when I dared to glance back. The mirror was still in view from the open door. She wasn't there. The bathroom was empty. The mirror reflected only the bathroom. No one in frame. I stood slowly, walked back. My own reflection returned, hesitantly, when I crossed the threshold. It was me again, almost, but I didn't trust it. I turned my head quickly, then again, then again. She kept up this time, no delay, but she looked nervous. like she'd just barely caught up. I took another photo. This one was worse. In the image, I was standing still. But behind me, not in the mirror, just to the left of the bathroom door frame, a figure, tall, thin, hair hanging forward over the face, bare feet, long sleeves, just there, only in the photo. I turned around, fast, nothing. I checked the photo again, still there, not blurred, clear. I didn't remember anyone walking in. I would have heard the door, but then I remembered the motel door hadn't locked. Not really. The latch was broken. I'd seen it last night and thought, it's fine. I'm only here for a night. Now I wasn't sure who had come for who. I shut the bathroom door, covered the mirror with a towel, left the light on inside, closed the motel curtains tight. The mirror stayed covered for the rest of the day. But that night, when I closed my eyes, I dreamed of her face again. Except it wasn't my dream. I wasn't seeing her. I was her. I was in the mirror, watching someone else sleep in my body, and I smiled. And in that dream, I remember thinking, calmly, lovingly, this is how you come back. And when I woke up, I was still smiling, but my reflection was fast asleep. And when I woke up, I was still smiling, but my reflection was fast asleep. It stayed like that for 28 minutes. I know because I timed it. I sat there on the motel bed, motionless, staring into the mirror across the room. My body was upright, breathing shallow and even. But in the mirror, I was still curled under the blanket, eyes shut, mouth slack. It blinked once, then twice, then finally caught up, like someone had rewound a tape and let it resume from the wrong spot. That was the last morning I trusted silence. Because later that day, sometime just before the sun began to lower, a new voice memo appeared on my phone. No title, no notification, just there. The file was marked as saved. No timestamp for when it had been created. Just the word recovered where the duration should have been. I tapped it before I could talk myself out of it. It started with a crackle. Not digital noise, but real-world texture. Like old paper crinkling next to a microphone, or a throat being cleared through clenched teeth. Then, my voice. Calm, software not whispered exactly, but too close, too intimate. I used to think I was good, it said. My voice, or close enough. A little clearer, a little colder. I used to believe I deserved quiet, deserved love. Pause. Breathing. Not mine, not hers. Something heavier, wetter, dragging. Then the voice again. But I left her waiting too long. I forgot what I promised. I paused the memo, stared at the wall for a full minute. Played it again from the start. This time with the volume turned down low, like that might make it less real. Same cadence, same words, same shape of mouth I've never seen myself use. I listened closer. There was something beneath the words. A second layer. Not words, not even language, just movement. Something dragging across tile, like wet silk and bare feet, moving without rhythm. I checked the info panel. The memo was 26 seconds long. And yet when I watched the playback bar, it kept going. I hit pause. It stopped at 28 seconds. I dragged the cursor back, pressed play again. Now it said 32 seconds. But the words were the same. Only this time, they ended differently. She whispered one final thing. I didn't come through the phone, the voice said. Software gentle, almost amused. You invited me through the mirror. I stopped breathing, sat very still. looked again toward the bathroom. The towel I'd hung over the mirror had fallen, or maybe it had been pulled. I stood. 1 step, then 2. The air in that corner of the motel felt wrong. Damp, not humid, just wet somehow. Like the steam from a breath you hadn't noticed until it touched your shoulder. I leaned around the doorway. The mirror was clear, my reflection there, watching. I raised my hand, so did she. I smiled. She didn't. I turned away fast, locked the bathroom door from the outside, stuffed a towel under the crack along the floor, then sat back down on the bed, phone still in hand. I played the voice memo again, just once more. This time, it didn't start with my voice. It started with hers, breathy, throaty, familiar, but not human, like something trying to sound human and nearly getting it right. "I've lived inside you for so long," she said, and then, over her voice, overlapping it, mine, softer, not recorded, live, from the phone speaker at the same time, saying the same thing. I threw the phone. It hit the curtain, dropped to the floor, and kept playing. I stood in the corner, hands pressed against my ears, shaking so hard my teeth clicked. But I could still hear her. "And now you're hollow enough for me to wear." I waited until it went quiet, 10 seconds, then 20. I crept forward, picked up the phone with 2 fingers, as if the weight of it might be different now. Screen still on, memo gone, not deleted, gone. I checked the voice memos folder, empty. I searched the storage, no trace. But when I checked the photo gallery, there was a screenshot. Not of me, not of the room, just a black screen with white text, as if from an old typewriter. "You let her speak." That's all it said. I backed out, deleted it, emptied the trash, then checked again. Another new photo. Now the text read, "She's still talking. No timestamp, no file size, just there." I turned the phone off, removed the SIM, wrapped it in tissue, and stuffed it into the motel's ice bucket under 3 inches of water. But the sound stayed. That faint drag of something wet on tile, just at the edge of hearing. Not from the bathroom now, not from the phone, but from my own mouth. I whispered something in my sleep that night. I know because I woke up mid-sentence. The words dried on my tongue like they didn't belong to me. And in the dim reflection of the TV screen, across from the bed, my mouth was still moving. But when I placed my hand over my lips to stop it, the voice kept speaking from somewhere just behind my teeth. But when I placed my hand over my lips to stop it, the voice kept speaking from somewhere just behind my teeth. I didn't sleep after that, just lay still, mouth shut tight, listening to whatever it was inside me hum words I didn't understand. It wasn't a voice anymore, not really, just intention, shaped like breath, like the echo of a thought someone else meant for me. By morning, I didn't bother checking the mirror. I knew I wouldn't see myself the way I remembered. So I went straight to the motel room desk, opened my laptop, and logged into my cloud storage. I wanted to delete everything, every photo, every backup, every trace. I clicked through the folders I remembered, trips, friends, receipts, screenshots. Then I saw one I didn't, a new album, her room, no creation date, no thumbnail, just the title, sitting quietly in the corner of the screen like it had always been there. I opened it. The photos were dim, not black and white, but muted, as if the colors had been pulled through dust. A bedroom, one I didn't recognize, floral curtains, stained wallpaper, An old standing fan, porcelain dolls stacked on a wooden shelf, some missing eyes, others turned toward the wall like they'd been scolded. In one photo, the bed was unmade, and there, on the mattress, was a faint impression, as if someone had just stood up. I clicked to the next image, same angle, but now there was something new. A hoodie draped across the foot of the bed. It was mine, or had been. Faded black, sleeves frayed at the cuffs. The one I lost years ago after a breakup, left behind in someone's car, or maybe dropped at a gas station. I hadn't seen it since, but there it was. Next photo, someone sitting on the edge of the bed, back to the camera, shoulders slightly hunched, wearing the hoodie, hair tied loosely at the nape, head tilted like she was listening to something on the floor. I zoomed in. I don't know why I thought I'd see her face. The angle didn't allow it. Still, I kept squinting, like I could will the image to shift. Then I noticed something in the mirror beside the dresser, a reflection. But it wasn't hers. It was mine. Not a full face, just a sliver, one eye, half a smile, watching her, like I'd been standing in that room when the photo was taken. I closed the laptop fast, too hard, as if the screen could break the thread between us. I stepped outside the motel room into a wall of humid air, sun blinding and too quiet. No cars, no voices, just cicadas screaming at no one. I paced the lot, checked my phone, even though I'd promised I wouldn't. I'd destroyed the SIM, left it behind. But somehow the signal bars were still full. The lock screen lit up without a touch. Uploading, her room, 19% no cancel button, no app open, just that. I went back inside, slammed the door, pulled the curtains shut. Then, despite everything, I opened the laptop again. The album was still there. Now, with 42 photos, I hadn't refreshed it. The newest ones were time-stamped within the last few minutes. I clicked. The angle had changed. The camera was closer now. Still her back, still my hoodie, still the same dim room. But now, in the corner of the frame, there was a second figure, smaller, seated, facing her, blurred by motion, like it had just turned its head as the shutter clicked. I couldn't make out the features, but the shape of the hand resting on the bedsheet was unmistakable. My ring, the one I lost in the shower 5 months ago, gone down the drain. I'd let it go. Now it was back, on someone else's hand, sitting across from the woman who wore my clothes. Next image, the same room, but empty. No people, no hoodie. Just the impression of weight on the bed and a doll on the floor, cracked, face down. Then one final photo, a different location. Not a room, not indoors, a parking lot, my motel, taken from behind a fogged window through the trees, my door, my car, and me, standing outside, pacing, looking at my phone. That same moment I tried to walk away. Someone had been watching. Someone had taken it and uploaded it. My hands started to shake. I pulled the power cord, closed the laptop, backed away like it might lunge. I looked around the room. Nothing had changed, but the air felt wrong again, like someone else had been breathing it before I entered. I heard a click, the bathroom door, still locked, but something had shifted inside. A sound like fabric brushing porcelain, like someone sitting up too slowly. I didn't move. I just listened. And then, the smallest sound, fingernails tapping the mirror, 3 times. No more. I left the motel an hour later, didn't check out, didn't turn off the lights. I just drove, no music, no GPS, no calls. But halfway through the drive, with no signal and no SIM. My phone buzzed once. A notification slid across the top of the screen. Her room, synced, location enabled. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, she was there, in the back seat, just outside the frame, wearing the hoodie like it still belonged to her. And when I looked in the rearview mirror, she was there, in the back seat, just outside the frame, wearing the hoodie like it still belonged to her. I didn't turn around. I don't know why. Maybe because I knew that if I saw her properly, really saw her, something would break inside me that wouldn't come back together. So I kept driving, and eventually the mirror was empty again. But later that night, in a motel 2 towns away, I opened my gallery to delete the old photos, to erase whatever this thing had become, and found something new, a folder I hadn't seen before. Childhood. That's what it was called. Just that. No icon, no thumbnail. I didn't remember creating it. I hadn't uploaded anything like that. I hadn't scanned old albums or synced anything from the past. But when I tapped it, the photos loaded slowly, like they were being pulled from somewhere deep and unfinished. The first few were familiar. Me on Kudas Sintimapäivänä, a plastic crown, cake with too much frosting. Then the backyard, inflatable pool half deflated. My father waving from behind the fence. Then something changed. Faces blurred. Names wrong. A caption under one image read, "Summer Trip," with Daniel and Elise. But I've never known a Daniel or an Elise. In another, I was sitting on a swing between 2 kids I didn't recognize. My name was misspelled in the corner, Ryan instead of Rianne. The photos started to rearrange, some duplicates, others reversed. One zoomed in on my hands, holding a paper boat. Then, a photo I didn't remember at all. The background was wrong, trees I'd never seen, a small, dark lake behind me. I was maybe 7, knees muddy, wearing clothes I'd never owned, but it was me. And beside me, another girl, dark hair, pale skin, eyes too large for her face, barefoot, legs dangling into the water. She wasn't looking at the camera, she was looking at me, and I was looking back. I zoomed in, her smile tilted, just slightly, to the same side mine always had. Her right canine stuck out the way mine had before braces. Her eyes, wide, dark, bottom heavy, looked almost tired, familiar. I closed the gallery and searched her name, except I didn't know her name. So I typed, "Girl drowned childhood lake, town name." One result, an old article, scanned, yellowed, titled, "Missing, presumed dead, local girl disappears from family picnic, no body recovered. Search lasted 9 days. The photo in the article was grainy, a school portrait. But it was her. Same 2 big eyes, same lopsided smile, same slouch in the shoulders. Her name was Maylee Doran. I said it out loud, just once, and something inside my chest shifted. I'd heard it before. Not recently, not often, but once, maybe. In a hallway, or a phone call, a dream I forgot after waking. I scrolled down. The article mentioned a neighbor's account, someone who'd seen her near the water, with a friend, another child. No name, just another child. They thought I was her friend, but I didn't remember. I couldn't have been there. I would have remembered a girl drowning, wouldn't I? I opened the photo again, the one from the lake. This time I noticed something in the reflection on the water, just behind us. A third shape, not clear, not full, just the faint ripple of movement in the water, long hair, bare shoulders, eyes staring straight up from beneath the surface. No splash, no struggle, just stillness. I closed the app, stared at the wall for a long time. Then, slowly, I said the name again. Maylee. Nothing happened at first, just silence. But then, the phone buzzed. One notification. From the gallery app. One item restored. Maylee.jpg. I didn't open it. I couldn't. Not yet. I set the phone down and walked to the bathroom. Looked in the mirror. Just my face. But behind me, on the sink, something was resting that hadn't been there before. A paper boat. Wet. Edges curling. Written across it, in the same loopy, half-formed handwriting from childhood. You said you'd come back. I touched it. The paper was ice cold, not damp, soaked. I picked it up, turned it over. Nothing else written. But when I looked up, the mirror didn't reflect my hand anymore. It reflected hers. Smaller, paler, fingers ink-stained. And behind her, the lake. Not the bathroom, not the motel. The lake. I dropped the paper. It hit the floor with a slap that echoed too long for such a small sound. I backed out of the bathroom, picked up the phone with trembling hands. The photo had loaded. Maylee. Closer this time. No lake, no other kids, just her face. A close-up, too close. Crooked smile, eyes locked on mine. And one sentence in tiny gray font below the image. She wasn't dead, just forgotten. I closed it, turned the screen off, but I could still feel the smile behind my eyes, like I'd seen it before mirrors existed. And when I lifted my hand to touch my face, it wasn't mine. It was small, thin, software. And it trembled when I said, maybe I didn't forget her. Maybe I forgot me. And from the phone speaker, quiet as a breath, then remember what we buried. And from the phone speaker, quiet as a breath, then remember what we buried. I didn't move. Not for a long time. The voice had been mine again, not identical, but close enough that my throat instinctively clenched, like it had echoed up through me instead of through the phone. When I finally looked down, the screen was black. No missed call, no playback bar, just the faint warmth of something that had recently spoken through it. I opened the settings. Don't ask me why. Maybe I needed to see something I could name. And there it was. Devices. Too connected. I stared at it. I'd never owned another device. No tablet. No secondary phone. No backup cloud login. I tapped it open. My phone was listed first. Below that, a second device. Unnamed. No model. Just one line beneath it. Last synced 37 seconds ago. I tapped it again. Nothing happened. No menu. No option to disconnect. No location trace. But the signal strength was full. Whatever it was close. I opened my photo gallery out of instinct, scrolled to the most recent album. A new photo was waiting. My back, sitting at the edge of the motel bed, barefoot, hands on knees, head tilted forward like I was listening to something below the floor. The timestamp said it had been taken just now, but I hadn't moved. I hadn't touched the camera, and the angle wasn't one my phone could reach. It came from above. I looked up, slowly. Ceiling, fan, stained tiles, no camera, no lens. But in the photo, on the phone screen, the figure sitting on the bed wore my face. And behind me, someone stood at the window. The hoodie, the long sleeves, head slightly turned, not quite facing the lens. Another device. She was holding it. Her hands, wrapped gently around something glowing, taking a photo of me. From the inside, I backed out, opened my phone's network tab, scanned nearby devices. It listed one more than before, connected as primary. No brand, no MAC address, just a gray spinning icon where the battery level should be. I tried to disconnect again. Nothing happened. Instead, the phone vibrated, a new message sent through AirDrop, though I'd turned it off days ago. "Don't delete me, I already saved you." Then the gallery opened on its own. The same photo, my back, same pose. Only now, the photo had changed. It blinked, just once. I watched my own body on screen, sitting still, blink without me. Then it moved, shoulders shifting, hands lifting, head rising. The real me stayed frozen, but the me on screen stood up slowly, turned toward the camera, and smiled. I locked the screen, held the power button down until it went black, then grabbed my charger and suitcase and walked outside. I didn't care about my things. I just needed to move. But when I opened the car door, the dashboard screen was already glowing. It had synced, without my permission. 2 devices connected. Same label, same gray spinning icon. The backup system had updated. I hadn't connected it. I hadn't touched it. Still, when I started the ignition, the screen blinked once, then began projecting a mirror of my phone gallery. She was in all of them. Me, but not. Moving even when the photos were still. Sometimes standing behind me, sometimes in my place entirely. She was catching up. Or maybe I was falling behind. That night, I drove out of town, past the last gas station, past the long rows of blinking red tower lights, until the signal dropped to nothing. No bars, no sync, just static. I stopped at a rest area where the streetlights flickered like old film, turned off the car, closed my eyes, and in the stillness, the silence cracked. My phone buzzed again, just once. I told myself not to check it, not to reach, but my fingers moved before I could stop them. The lock screen lit up, and at the top, synced devices, too. Still there, still connected. I opened the gallery. The latest photo was blank, but a note had appeared underneath it. "We've matched your update. Restart to complete." No button, no prompt, just that. And a soft light behind the screen. Not the glow of a phone, something warmer, like breath. And from the glass, my own voice again. But it didn't say anything. It just laughed. Software short. Familiar in the way someone else's childhood memory feels when told to you like it's yours. Then the phone spoke one last line. "You're not being replaced. You're being remembered." And carved faintly into the back of the phone case, as if etched by a pin, were 4 slow words I never remembered saying. The call was mine. And carved faintly into the back of the phone case, as if etched by a pin, were 4 slow words I never remembered saying. The call was mine. I don't remember driving to the next town. I only remember the silence, the kind that isn't just quiet, it's thick. Like something has taken up all the space around you, and you have to move carefully not to bump into it. I found a gas station with Wi-Fi, sat in the corner of the lot, screen dimmed low, and opened the camera app. Not to take a picture, just to look at myself. I needed to know I was still there. I turned on the front-facing lens, waited for it to load, stared. It was me. But not the version I remembered. My eyes were tired in the wrong way. My lips too soft around the edges, like they'd been shaped and reshaped too many times. My skin had a slight reflection to it. Not oily, just artificial, like light didn't sit right on it anymore. I took a deep breath, opened a face filter app I hadn't used in months. It scanned me, loaded slow, then gave me the usual options: age rewind, soft skin, smile enhance, classic me. I picked the last one, classic me, the version it learned from older selfies, the way I looked before all of this began. It processed. Then the overlay appeared, only it didn't sit on top of my face. It slid underneath it. My current face peeled away, just slightly. Not graphically, no gore, no tearing, just separation, like a mask gently lifting. And underneath, for one flickering second, her mouth, her cheekbones, her smile just beginning to form. Then the app froze. A soft vibration, screen shimmered, and across the middle, a system message I'd never seen before. Original face detected. No replacement available. I blinked, tapped the screen. The app crashed. My deep reflection returned. But now, I wasn't sure which version I was seeing. I reached for the phone settings, tried resetting facial recognition. It asked for a new scan. I held the phone up, looked into the lens, and it didn't recognize me. It prompted again. Face not found. Please remove obstruction. There was no obstruction, just my face, staring back, confused. Then without input, the screen flashed, and the phone took a photo. Automatically, no sound, no flash, just a sudden capture. And the image saved to a new album I hadn't created. Verified. I opened it. There was only one photo. Me. Almost. But this version, the smile was already full. Eyes locked directly onto mine. And the timestamp read, captured 23 seconds ago by synced device. I hadn't pressed anything. I closed the app, locked the screen, walked inside the gas station, not for snacks, not for gas. I just needed to see myself in a real mirror, with fluorescent lights, with dust, with fingerprints on the glass. I stepped into the restroom, stood still in front of the mirror. My reflection met me, 1-to-1, no delay, no blink mismatch, but something was wrong. It wasn't the face. It was the way I was standing. My body didn't feel like it matched the pose. My left hand felt lower than it looked. My shoulders were tensed when the reflection looked calm. I leaned in. The mirror leaned closer than I did. And just for a moment, one small, delicate moment, she raised her eyebrows before I even thought about moving mine. I turned away, fast, shook my hands, counted backward from 10. This isn't real. This is stress, sleep deprivation, a glitch in your head. That's what I told myself. But when I looked back, the mirror showed me with my phone in hand. I wasn't holding anything, and the phone in the reflection had a cracked screen. I'd never cracked mine. I left the restroom, quick, quiet. Back in the car, the phone was sitting in the passenger seat, unlocked, gallery open, one new video. I didn't press play, I couldn't, but the preview still looped. It was just my face, framed tight, mouth closed, eyes wide, motionless, except for one thing. Every few seconds, the skin around my eyes would pulse, like something underneath was pressing forward, trying to get closer to the surface. The video had no duration, no file name. It sat at the top of my screen like it belonged there. I tapped the Details tab, and under Recorded By, it listed Front Camera, Alternate User. Not me. Alternate. I closed everything, turned the phone off, wrapped it in the old shirt in my backpack. But even with the screen dark, I felt it humming. The same way something hums just behind your teeth before you speak. A quiet kind of readiness. And when I looked down at my hands again, they were smoother, cleaner, like they'd been redrawn. Not younger, just corrected. And when I finally spoke aloud to hear myself, my voice came out clear, but I wasn't sure it had waited for my mouth to move. And when I finally spoke aloud to hear myself, my voice came out clear, but I wasn't sure it had waited for my mouth to move. I should have stopped there, put the phone away, left it dead and buried, thrown it into the nearest river, and walked into whatever silence was still mine. But that night, at 2:43 in the morning, it started on its own. The screen lit up without my touch. No sound, no buzz, just a live feed, streaming. I was the subject. The camera was pointed straight at my face, but I wasn't holding the phone. It rested on the nightstand, screen angled up from its back, glowing soft in the dark. Still somehow, the image was from eye level, centered, framed too precisely, and I was on the screen. Me, sitting completely still, not blinking, not breathing, as far as I could tell, just watching. Staring back at the lens with the kind of attention you don't give a camera, the kind of attention you give something alive. I reached for the phone to stop it. That's when the first comment appeared, a small text bubble at the bottom of the screen. "She's back." Then another. "The face fits better now. Almost perfect." I froze. Not because of the comments, but because I hadn't opened any app. I didn't even have a streaming account. The top of the screen didn't list a platform. No icons. Just a black bar that read, "Live synced device. Viewers, 1, then 2, then 17, then 64. They kept coming. Not usernames, just phrases. "This is the version we needed. Watch the left eye. It's catching up." Finally smiling from the inside. The image hadn't changed, but as I stared at it, I noticed something wrong with the lighting. The shadows were different on the screen than in the room. In real life, the light from the phone cast a faint glow on my cheek. On screen, my face was lit from somewhere else, dimmer, grayer. And behind me, just barely in frame, the outline of a room I didn't recognize. Not my walls, not my ceiling, but hers. That faded floral wallpaper, the cracked porcelain dolls, the bed with the imprint where someone had just been sitting. I tapped the screen, tried to close it. Nothing responded. Swiped up, held the power button. Still nothing. The stream kept going. My face remained, expressionless, eyes wide, shoulders too straight. Then I heard something, not from the phone, from inside the room, the soft click of a drawer sliding shut. I turned my head, slow. Nothing. Stillness. But the sound had been real, sharp, intentional. I turned back to the screen. New comments had appeared. She heard it. Too early. Don't let her disconnect. I opened the phone settings, desperate to shut everything down manually. No app listed, no permissions granted, and under active devices, the count had changed. 1/1, only one connected. But it wasn't mine. It was labeled original host active, no option to revoke, no way to log out. And then the screen whispered, not through the speaker, through the screen. I felt the words, not heard them, somewhere deep behind my eyes. "You already did." I dropped the phone. It didn't land. I swear it didn't land. I looked down. It wasn't there. I checked under the bed, the dresser, the sheets. Gone. Vanished like it had never existed. But the stream continued. On the TV now, on the mirror, on the blank screen of the microwave in the corner. Every surface reflected the same feed. Me, still sitting, still watching. And now, smiling, not a full grin, just a small curve. Like something inside the image was relieved, and the comments kept coming, even though there was nowhere to type them. Let her settle. The rest will follow. Almost. I couldn't move. My limbs felt anchored, not heavy, just no longer mine to command. I blinked. Once. The version of me on the screens didn't. I opened my mouth. She did too, half a second before me. The gap was widening. She was no longer a reflection. She was rehearsing. Then a sound behind me. A long, slow exhale. Hot, wet, close. Like someone sighing with satisfaction just inches from the back of my neck. I didn't turn. Not yet. I knew what I'd see. The hood, the hair, the borrowed face. Standing just out of reach, just behind me. Like she always had been. And when I finally found the strength to speak, to whisper even one word, I asked, "Who are you?" And in every reflection, all at once, she answered. With my voice, "I'm who you forgot to become." The stream ended. No click, no fade out, just silence. No screen, no light, and for the first time in what felt like hours, I blinked. My eyes burned. I reached up to touch my face, and it was wet. Not tears, ink, faint, black, bleeding softly from the corner of each eye like mascara in water. I stumbled to the mirror, the motel glass, scratched, dirty, honest. But the face looking back wasn't the one I remembered starting with. It was still mine, but tighter around the edges, like it had been zipped over something else. Something underneath still trying to get out. I pressed my fingers against my cheek. Hard. My reflection didn't flinch. And when I whispered again, just to hear myself say anything human, the mirror mouthed something else entirely. And as I leaned closer, the mirror fogged softly with breath I hadn't taken.